Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Fantasy for the Ages, the show where a father and son sit down and talk about books in the fantasy genre. My name's Zach, I'm the son of that equation.
My name is Jim, and I'm the father. Great to have all of you with us here today for another The Dragon Reborn episode, as we move our way through the whole Wheel of Time series. Zach, how you doing today?
I feel weird, that's how I'm doing. I changed up the intro a little bit for the first time like that in 62 episodes, and it's weird. I don't think I like it. I'll probably go back to the other way next time.
Well, that's good. I tried to just roll with it. I did.
But no, otherwise I'm doing well. I did the thing that I haven't done in a while, which is stay up ridiculously late last night, but I didn't have work in the morning and could sleep in. So I'm doing great. How about yourself, Dad?
I'm doing all right. I did the thing that I don't often do very often either, and that was I slept in. I was up a little later than usual as well yesterday.
Whoa, so 7 a.m.?
No, I think I actually made it to 8 a.m. Ooh, yeah. I mean, I was up at 5:30, and then 6, and then 7. I just kept closing the eyes again and trying to catch some more Z's. But it's partly because I got to get on a plane tomorrow morning, so I have to be at the airport by 5 a.m. So I figured I better get some sleep.
Where are you going?
I'm going to St. Louis, Missouri this time, the Show Me State. I got a meeting back there for just a couple of days, and then I'll be back.
I get it. You're going to be in misery.
In more ways than one, that's probably true. Yep. What are you drinking today, Zach?
I made a wattail. I actually did today.
Nice!
So I'm drinking the Old Blood of Manetheren.
Ooh.
It starts out as if you're making a classic old-fashioned. You get your bourbon, your simple syrup in there. You can do it with water and sugar if you're getting extra fancy. Your bitters, usually some orange bitters. Mix it all up. And then afterwards, you drop your ice in and just drizzle over the top about an ounce of pomegranate liqueur. Gives it a nice red color while also getting a weird tartness that kind of sticks in stubbornly.
That's pretty cool. I like it. And I can see it visually, of course. It looks great. We'll get a picture of that and pop it up there on our Instagram at some point. Absolutely.
Yeah, it might be a picture of the second one, because I'll probably drink all of this one before I take a picture of it. But
good enough.
It's worth making a second one.
All right.
And what about you, Dad?
I'm glad you made a wattail, because I didn't get around to making one today. I'm just drinking some nice red wine. I've got a little Cabernet Sauvignon from here in the Columbia River Valley of Washington, so not very far from here. It's not from Maryhill Winery, the one that I've talked about before. It's a different one, but it's made in the Horse Heaven Hills section of the Columbia River Valley. So it's wine from a region I've enjoyed before. It's just a different winery that this one's from.
Is that where horses go after they die? I'm confused.
No.
Horse Heaven Hills.
But it's worthy of Bella.
Feels like the pastures to
It's
groom
worthy of
forever.
Bella for sure. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, I just have one note to share today before we jump into our content.
Okay, Dad, what we got?
Well, just how amazing it is to see the downloads continue to accrue like they are. We don't count them all the time, but we crossed the 30,000 download barrier or threshold or something. And I'm just like, woo, the confetti should have been going or something.
We don't count them all the time, but we do count them because it's really cool to see. And I'm still sitting here going, how are we having more than 5? So every time, I'm just blown away and incredibly grateful that y'all are listening.
Yeah. Part of where we're climbing up so much is clearly more people are finding the podcast. And now that we have, this will be episode 62, someone decides to download our podcast, boom, there's, 62 downloads just like that. So it accumulates a lot faster. We're very regularly now having on any single day, whether or not we downloaded new content, we're having, 100, 200, 250, 300 downloads on a day. That kind of adds up. So that's fun.
Little bit.
Yeah. We're appreciative of those of you that are with us, that are enjoying it, including those of you here with us in Discord. Stay with us. We're going to keep bringing out the great content for you. And I think we should do some of that right now, today then. What do you say, Zach?
Let's get into The Dragon Reborn.
Yes, we begin today with Chapter 21, A World of Dreams. And we've moved over to Egwene's perspective, as she's returning from her lengthy chores in the kitchen. Now, again, why is she working in the kitchen, Zach?
Because it's that whole, hey, you were away from the tower, now you're back, now you're getting punished, but actually also punished with, like, kitchen duties. But also so that way you're not suspicious while you hunt the Black Aja. It's a whole mess.
Mm-hmm.
And I could talk another 20 minutes, or I could say, Egwene hates it, but it's the right thing to do right now.
Yeah. So she's done with these chores for today. It has sucked. She's tired. She wants to just go to bed. But instead, she's on her way to the room of Varen Sadai.
Ba ba ba.
Now, this brown sister had actually come and found her in the kitchen and said, basically, when you're done, come see me, and gave her directions on how to find Varen's quarters. And that's what she's doing. She's heading to find Varen's quarters. Varen stays where a few of the other brown sisters stay, up above the library. And it's described interestingly, because it's kind of like a sketchy part of the tower. Like the custodial staff doesn't do their job or something.
It reminds me of the restricted section in Harry Potter.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, it's like tucked away and it's there, but like no one goes there. A lot of people aren't even allowed to go there. And so the general staff that will walk through and, make sure things are taken care of and tidy aren't doing it. Instead, you've just got some browns that are doing their research and leaving their notes everywhere.
Yeah. So it is. It's not very tidy. It's a little dusty, deserted. Definitely feels off the beaten path. And for Egwene, it's kind of giving her the heebie-jeebies to go someplace like this, because she's got on her mind, that mission to hunt out Black Aja. Like, maybe I shouldn't be just walking in places like this, but she's been given an order.
This would be a great place to get mugged.
Indeed. Well, she eventually makes it to the door that is what she thinks Varen described of where she's supposed to go, and she knocks, and she hears Varen's voice inviting her in. She goes into this room, and to me, it's the quintessential Brown's quarters that are described here. All manners of books, maps, charts, clutter, odds and ends, even, a skull, there's just things all over this room.
It almost to me even looks like a little on the nose of Jordan going, hey, this is what a brown is.
Yeah.
This is the brown Aja. I'm throwing it in your face.
Yep, it's kind of like that. Varen looks up from where she's actually been reading something, just holding a page, and she sees, Egwene, and, yes, of course. But she doesn't just stop what she was working on. Instead, she kind of sucks Egwene into this thing right away. And she says, okay, this document, this page I'm reading, it's the only page remaining from a much longer document that supposedly survived the breaking of the world. Everything else has been lost. We just have this one, and this might be the only copy of it. And I've been studying it, and I can't decipher what it means. So I'm going to read it for you here, Egwene, and tell me what you think.
Okay, before you say what this says, can I take a moment to be ticked at Varen?
Yes, you can. But tell us why.
This is very possibly the only copy of a single page from a manuscript that was thought to be lost 3,000 years ago. And instead of making a copy and using that for her notes, she's using the actual thing. She just has it in with the rest of her crap. This should be in a case protected with some kind of weave or something. You don't do that.
You make a fine point, my son. It's like, and this might be the only copy, and the next, action should be, so let me just copy this.
Accidentally touches it in the fire, or puts her tea down on it, spills all over. Oops.
Yeah. But she reads for Egwene here. She wants Egwene's impression of this. And I'm going to read it out loud here, just this little excerpt. It goes, Heart of the Dark, Baalzamon. Name hidden within name, shrouded by name. Secret buried within secret, cloaked by secret. Betrayer of hope. Ishamael betrays all hope. Truth burns and sears. Hope fails before truth. A lie is our shield. Who can stand against the heart of the dark? Who can face the betrayer of hope? Soul of shadow, soul of the shadow. He is... And then it's like from that Monty Python, the castle of...
The castle of
Because that's where it ends. We don't know what else was supposed to happen. And so again, she turns it to Egwene and says, so what do you think? And Egwene's clueless. She has no context, nothing. She just heard all this. And she's like, I don't understand it. I know I don't like it. And Varen's like, well, of course you don't like it, you silly girl. And of course you don't understand it. I've studied it for 40 years and I can't make it out. Why would you?
Okay, so Varen, why'd you ask her opinion?
Yeah, that's a great question. And why is this even in the text? Because now Varen's just going to move on to other stuff. Well, we do want to point out again, our podcast, we focus on spoiler light content. There's a reason this is all in here. Robert Jordan didn't just suddenly go off on a tangent. This means something, but we can't tell you what. Because we would spoil things for you, so just, I don't know, stick a bookmark here, make a note, highlight the sucker. It will have meaning later.
I'll give two possible kind of things here. One, Robert Jordan was really trying to show Browns are absent-minded and stay on their task of whatever they're doing, and here's the thing. Two, there's something important here that he didn't want us to pay attention to, but did want it to be there.
Yeah, that sounds good. But okay, let's move on. Varen says, okay, here's why I really brought you here now. So she sets this page aside. I'm sure she just flings it in a corner because it's, not a very important one-of-a-kind document or anything. And she says, here, pulls up a whole bunch of other pages. This is the information the Amerlin asked me to gather for you. Everything on Leandrin and the other women who ran off with her. This should help you. It's supposed to maybe help you in your search for Black Aja. It also includes what is known of the ter'angreal they took with them. Varen doesn't see much use in the information, she says, but perhaps it will help.
Now, that being said, it is a startlingly small amount of documents. The ability to just be like, here, about all the information we have about 13 people and all the stuff they took.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, here? You would think you would have a file cabinet for that. Nope.
Now, I misspoke a moment ago, and I just went back and looked at the book. And Varen doesn't say, this is all the information that I was supposed to give you to help you in your search for the Black Aja. She doesn't say Black Aja. She doesn't say the search for the Black Aja.
No.
She simply says, this is all the information on these women. So we don't know from this, did Swan Sanche tell Varen why she wants the girls to have all these detailed information?
I mean, supposedly last we heard, Swan wasn't going to tell anybody.
Right. She had decided if she's got to, she's got to trust some people. So Varen is going to be trusted to some degree, but we don't know if she's told Varen everything. And she doesn't clarify with what she says here. So we can't be sure. But she does know they're supposed to have this information for some reason. So here you go. Don't know how much good it'll do ya. I've looked at it. I don't see a lot in it.
Of course, Egwene hears this, takes this, and goes, wait a second. You're looking at it. You don't see a lot of use in it. Why don't you see much use in it? Is because you're throwing me off the trail. Are you Black Aja? She doesn't say all that. But it's that moment of paranoia.
Flashes through her head, absolutely.
Just hitting it.
But, no. She just shoves that aside in her thoughts. Because I've traveled with this woman for months. It's silly to assume, to even suspect she could be one of the Black Aja. She's been brought into the circle of trust, Okay, nah, that's silly. Egwene accepts the documents, and okay, I'll get to work with this stuff, I guess. But then Varen goes on to share that, now hold on, hold your horses, there's something else I brought you here for, not just this information. I've heard from Anaya Sedai that you may be a dreamer. And she shares that the last Aes Sedai known to have the talent for dreaming was Coriana Nadal 473 years ago. And she barely had enough talent to really be worthy of the title of dreamer. Zach, can you remind us, what do we know about the talent of dreaming at this point in the books? Now, this is almost a quiz. Can you carve your knowledge down to be only what we know this far? Because we're about to learn more.
I want to say the entirety of what we have learned so far in Dreaming is, as far as like Aes Sedai, Egwene, Dreamer stuff, a loose Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat prophetic
Nice.
dreams
Yeah,
situation.
yeah, pretty much. That was a good reference too, actually. So you have dreams; they mean something significant. That's what we know. That's what she's thinking about dreaming, and so she's actually questioning. Varen. Yeah, Anaya thought I might be a dreamer, but she's tested me, and so far none of my dreams can be verified as being true prophetic dreams or anything. And Varen's like, oh no, child, there's so much more to being a dreamer. But even so, you're saying,
Yeah,
okay, Anaya hasn't been able to confirm you're a dreamer. Anaya still does think you're a dreamer. So apparently they've talked.
she hasn't confirmed you're not.
And now we get teacher Varen, who's going to step up and share some more information with Egwene, which is how Robert Jordan shares some more information with all of us. So what do we learn?
All right, boil it down to the points for me.
All right.
What do we got?
The Wheel of Time. It weaves lives to make the pattern of an age. And the ages then are woven together into the age lace, the great pattern.
Yes, the lives are like the threads.
Then she references.
So if I'm gonna kind of analogy this, understand we've got a big long tapestry thing, and it goes from like a crosshatch to a weird loopy design instead, and that's your different thread pattern for the age.
Okay.
I don't know sewing or weaving. Maybe I'll learn that one day.
I'm just rolling with it. There's some, things are going this way and that way, and it's all being threaded together. I can work with that. Woven together, I suppose we could call it.
Sure.
But then she references, there's also the worlds that might be. And Egwene's like, oh, you mean like from the portal stones? It's like, yes. That, but also even other worlds that we haven't discovered. Things we maybe can't even get to. And all of that is part of the pattern. And is all woven in with the warp and the weave by the Wheel of Time. Now, with all these different realities, parallel worlds, whatever you want to call it, she says, in all of that, there's one creator. Okay, the creator is present in all of these. There's only one creator and is responsible for everything and is present at all times in all places. In the same way, there's one Dark One.
Oh.
And the Dark One, imprisoned at the beginning of all time by the creator, is imprisoned in all of these worlds. It's the same Dark One. And imprisoned in one place must be imprisoned in all.
Interesting. It's really funny. Real fun how it seems like there's a one solid constant. I'm just sticking to my own personal theories here.
But she's identifying, my son, the creator and the Dark One. Two separate beings, not your wacko person theory of one.
What is it that you always like to remind us in the Wheel of Time? Robert Jordan, he likes the unreliable narrator.
You're just not going to let this go.
That the knowledge that they know or show you might not be the knowledge that is true?
I still think your theory of the creator and the Dark One being the same is bunk. It's just bunk. I'm holding to that.
I think it fits in with everything pretty well.
So Egwene she's heard of the creator. She's heard of the Dark One. Now she's getting this, sharing that it exists in all these different places. The same creator, the same Dark One. And she emphasizes the Dark One being imprisoned. We will need to be, confronting that through Rand. That there's going to be this need to confront the Dark One to make sure he stays imprisoned. Because if he gets loose in this reality, he'll be loose in all of them. It's the paradox that exists. But then she gets to where she's really going, because Egwene's like, so what does this all have to do with Dreamer? And Varen's like, well, nothing, child. But, I do have a point.
Well, then why are you telling me?
Varen is such a scatterbrained teacher sometimes. But what she gets to is, okay, I've told you two constants. There's a creator, there's a Dark One. Two constants. But there is a third constant. And here we get the introduction of a great word. How do you pronounce this word, Zach? A world with variations that lies within all of these other worlds, or perhaps surrounds them all. This one other world They call it the world of dreams.
Teleran Riyadh.
There you go. Teleran Riyadh.
It is Teleran
That's how
Riyadh.
we both say it.
And I like to think of it as world soup.
World soup?
Yeah. It's like it has substance in and of itself, but also all the things floating in it are all the different various worlds and stuff. And so it's just the world soup.
Okay. Emmeline loves world soup.
It's world soup.
I think that was weird, but... World soup. All right. Now, Varen says, this place, Teleran Riyadh, it's a real place as well. But it's different from all the other worlds. Because it is the world of dreams, and many people may occasionally catch a glimmer of Teleran Riyadh in their dreams. But a dreamer can actually enter Teleran Riyadh, can go to Teleran Riyadh, can use it in special ways. Now, the potential of actually entering the world of dreams, that freaks Egwene out a bit. So, what does she default to? She's like, I really think maybe I'm not a dreamer. Really. And again,
yeah, thanks, but no, I'll pass.
Varen's again, no.
Honestly, it's actually a weird moment for Egwene because usually she gets confronted with all these different things and she's like, yes, 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 yes. And it's showing the way she kind of feels coming back from the Shanchan and a little more reserved and scared of going into new things, these dangerous things.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. You're right. Well, Egwene, okay, Varen's badgering her in saying, no, you are a dreamer. Okay, so fine. Okay, I'm a dreamer. Well, I guess I'll learn to do some things with this talent eventually. Even this Teleran Riyadh thing. And Varen says, no. She poo-poos this. We have no time for you to learn eventually.
You just have to do it.
With the task you've been given. So again, with the task you've been given, we can infer Varen does know they've been tasked.
She doesn't say what it is, but it makes sense.
Their job is to hunt Black Aja. We can infer she's got that.
Varen's a sharp cookie.
Yeah. It says, because of this task, you need to be able to access all the tools at your disposal. You can't take the time to figure things out eventually. So here, I got this for you. And she picks up a box that she has and opens it up just a little bit, rummages inside it, and pulls out a ring. A little stone ring. And she gives it to Egwene. And she says, all right, this ring, this used to be used by Corianin Nadil to enter Teleran Riyadh. It's a terangrial. And Corianin believed it allowed someone to ease into Teleran Riyadh more simply. And even that anybody could use it. You didn't even have to be Aes Sedai. But someone using this ring would be able to enter Teleran Riyadh. And since you as a dreamer will be able to do that, this will get you doing it faster. This is a great tool. I want you to have it. But be careful. And then she pulls up a sleeve and shows a nice scar on her arm and says, you need to realize Teleran Riyadh is not just dreams. It's a real place. What happens there is real. I got this scar using the ring. And when I came out of Teleran Riyadh, Anaya tried to heal this and it didn't heal right. So it's kind of dangerous. You need to be cautious with this.
So at first it's kind of like, hey, we're throwing you in the deep end. Here's a pool floaty. But then you realize the pool floaty is filled with concrete.
And might bite you.
Thanks, Varen.
So Egwene agrees, I'll use caution. Okay. Varen also warns her, keep this hidden. Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Wrong series.
Because I'm giving you a terangrial.
It is a ring, though, so we'll take it.
A novice would not be trusted with a terangrial. Really, neither would an accepted. So you can't let people know you have this thing. Okay? If anybody asks me, I'm going to deny it. Yeah. So this is for you now. For the purposes you need it, but tuck it away. Don't let anyone know that you have it. Okay. So that's what Egwene agrees to do.
I mean, technically, Varen doesn't say she would deny any knowledge of it because, like, Aes Sedai, but she very much hints all Aes Sedai truth around it.
So you get the point. So it's interesting here when you think about it. You've got Varen and Aes Sedai specifically telling Egwene to break the rules. That's what, Jordo says in the Discord. Rules are made to be broken, right? And it's kind of like,
They're more like guidelines.
Nice.
Pirate's code, if you will.
Now, the chapter ends with one of the more fascinating little things in these first 3 books.
Okay, let's do it.
We get a 3-paragraph point of view of Varen. And spoiler light, I'll just let this one out there. We're going to get Varen's POV more than once, but next to never. Okay, so this is rare.
It is rare.
So we get to see what's going on in this amazing brown head, this brown sister's thoughts. And as Egwene leaves, Varen opens the box that she took the ring out of. She opens it the rest of the way.
What's in the box?
And there's a whole bunch of pages, documents inside, all written by Corianin Nadal about this ring Terangrial that she just gave to Egwene. And it's everything that Corianin learned about it after studying it for 50 years. As far as Varen knows, Varen's the only one that knows the ring exists, and the only one who knows all of this documentation on it exists. She kind of stumbled upon the paperwork in her personal studies in the library, and as far as she can tell, it seems like Corianin, for some reason, erased any record of the existence of this ring Terangrial. That's unusual.
Very.
So it says Varen once again considers burning these pages, just as she also considered giving them to Egwene. But as a brown sister, she can't bring herself to destroy knowledge of any kind, so she can't burn the documents. At the same time...
Thank goodness. You mean she's fine handling old documents, being careless about how she uses them, but she can't bring herself to intentionally destroy it. At least she has some standards. Okay.
At the same time, she did choose not to give the information to Egwene. She says to herself, it's probably best to leave things this way. Just allow what will happen to happen. And the chapter ends. So my question for you, Zach, I don't know if you remember when you first read this particular section, but what could we be theorizing? Why logically would Varen have chosen not to give documented information? I mean, there's some legitimate reasons she may have chosen not to. It doesn't say here why she didn't give Egwene this information. She just gave her the ring blind. What do you think?
As I read it kind of my first time or two through, because these first 3 books were the ones that really I did read twice before I got through the whole series, I had to sit here and go, why? And came up with kind of 2 reasons that I felt made sense. Either one, similar to how with the portal stones, she's like, yo, Rand, just do it. And kind of takes chances and gambles, letting the pattern spin what will be best. That's one possibility. Perhaps she's understanding what the pattern needs enough that she thinks it'll be right to let it happen as it should. The other possibility that kind of came to mind is she read all that, she did all that, she definitely did her research, and the best she got out of it was a really nasty scar on her arm. So maybe the research did more harm than good, and she's possibly hedging her bets on
Perhaps. Our Discord has a couple of great observations as well. Emmeline is saying, maybe it's like Back to the Future. It's better not to have knowledge, because it might mess with what you would have naturally done. And so she's saying Egwene needs to discover and use this on her own, not just follow documentation, because there might be uses and abilities of this ring that if Egwene's foreknowledge is poisoned, she might never discover. So that makes sense. I like that. Jordo comments that perhaps Corianin's research is flawed and even contributed to what happened to Corianin and Nadil. We don't get any information there on that right now. So maybe Varen says, maybe this is not the best information. I'm sure Varen has read it studiously and has decided it's not worthwhile to give to Egwene. It's almost like I gleaned what's most necessary. I've told her it's dangerous in the world of dreams, be careful, the basics, but she doesn't need all that information. I know those are theories that make sense and that we're getting there in the Discord.
Definitely. Maybe there's more factors that we just don't understand as of yet, but I think those are all fairly reasonable with what we know here and now.
Ooh, and another I like this. The conversations that keep going in the Discord is pretty good. Where Jordan says, what if Corianin was a hack?
Definitely.
But Emmeline following up with, oh, but Corianin might have been a Black Aja, and the notes might be traps that she left for whoever might use the ring. It's like, you could go on and on.
Yeah, it's that moment of when it says go left to spikes or right to pillows, it's a lie. Go to the spikes. But it's not actually a lie, and you fall in the spikes.
Yeah, you could get caught endlessly. For whatever reason, Varen felt it was best. I'm not going to give her the documents. But still, she's not going to destroy it. She's just going to keep the paperwork herself. Chapter's over. We move to chapter 22, called The Price of the Ring. This picks up with Egwene having just gone a short distance from Varen's room when Sheriam, the mistress of novices, catches up to her, looking very impatient. Like, there you are! It's a good thing I kind of remembered that you were going to meet with Varen. Everyone's waiting for you. Let's go, girl. And what is this you're holding? What are these documents? Now, Egwene's like, what?
Nothing.
Sheriam's just looking for it at this time of night and in such a flurry, and now you want to know what I'm holding? And blah. She does give a perfectly subtle answer, worthy of an Aes Sedai, a very subtle sister. She says, it's information Varen gave me to study. Truth.
It's not wrong.
That's right. Spot on.
But apparently, people are waiting. Let's go. What are they waiting for?
So what?
Because Egwene doesn't know.
And Sheriam's like, child, have you forgotten? You're to be raised to accepted. And it's happening now, this evening. Let's go. Time waits for no one. In fact, the Amerlin has insisted it be done immediately. An exact quote is, once you decide to gut a fish, there's no use waiting till it rots. What a lovely illustration.
So apparently, if Egwene doesn't rise to accept it now, she's gonna rot. Let's get on with it.
She's apparently the fish that's being gutted. So Egwene hustles after Sheriam, and she feels this knot of anxiety starting to form in her gut, because she doesn't know fully what to expect. She's attended classes that have talked loosely about the accepted test, but she doesn't know all the information. And Nynaeve's already done this test, but Nynaeve won't talk about it. In fact, the only thing she says is comments like, I hate Aes Sedai, anytime this whole testing comes back up. So, kind of unsettling.
There's a ritualistic element that we've seen when we saw Nynaeve's already, and I feel like that's the knowledge that Egwene's been given. But, like, what the actual test means, what happens, and that's not great.
Jordo is putting in the Discord thinking that accepted tests were completely blind without any knowledge, and I don't believe that's true. They don't know precisely what they will experience in the test, but they do know some basic things, which we'll cover on in just a moment here.
Nynaeve's was completely blind, but Nynaeve's was really weird.
Yeah, she'd had no classes.
Usually they've been in the tower
training
already for years.
Right. But there is a little bit of preparation that's typically given to novices, so they're ready when the test comes along, tied to some of the rituals that will be involved. That's about the only thing.
You have to know the right things to say.
Exactly.
At the right time.
And the right way to dress, for example.
Or rather, not.
So let's talk about that. They reach the room where the special ter'angreal for testing for the accepted is stored. And we remember this from Nynaeve's test, so we've got these 3 big silver arches that all connect at the base where someone could walk through each one of them. And she sees some other sisters here in the room, one of them being the lovely red Aja, Elida, who snaps off, not before time, clearly impatient. She's such a pleasant woman, Elida.
She's the Tarvalin witch, all right.
She's the archetype upon which the Children of the Light have built all their impressions. Pretty much. She sees 3 Aes Sedai sitting down, cross-legged on the floor at each of the spots where the arches touch each other. There's a green, there's a yellow, and there's a white. She doesn't know the yellow and white sister, but the green one she recognizes. It's Alana. We've had Alana Mosfani mentioned a few times in the series so far. So she's one of the ones here. Mm-hmm. And she sees these 3 sisters channeling into the device, and it begins to glow. There's kind of a silveryness that's appearing in the archway of each of these 3 spots. What else do we know? Well, Elida makes a snarky remark here that I don't even think Egwene should be able to take this test. She ought to be put out of the tower, or at least made to spend at least like 10 more years as a novice doing chores. She's just, again, not being very pleasant.
And I love Shiriam's comeback. It's great. And it really shows where Elida's head is at. Because Shiriam replies that Elida didn't have the same complaint about Elaine. I mean, we hear and can see here, Elaine's already been through this, apparently. Must have, happened just a little bit earlier or something. But it's just very clearly, these 2 people who are in basically the same situation, you have completely opposite views on, and are very outspoken about both.
Exactly. And Sheriam's like, Elida, you didn't even need to be here. You wanted to be because of Elaine, but now you are. So suck it up, woman, and shut up. Pretty much what she says. And you're like, yeah, good for you, Sheriam.
Shut up or get out.
Now Sheriam's going to give Egwene some critical information, and this is the type of stuff that you don't get before the test. And she tells her, okay, here's some information novices only learn at this moment. First, you will be given the chance to take this test for accepted up to 3 times. So you can pass on taking the test right now, and that's fine. You'll have 2 future times if you need them. But if you decline to take the test a 3rd time, that's it. You'll be put out of the tower and not be given any chance to come back, try again, take the test. That's it. You will not be Aes Sedai.
Now, that being said, that does not mean you get 3 tries on the test. Rather, you get 3 chances to have 1 try. At the moment you decide to try and start, you must finish or fail.
That's right. There are 3 arches here. You're going to go through each arch. Once you've gone through the first arch, you must continue to the second, and then you must continue to the third. So exactly as you're saying, Zach, if you decide you want to quit partway through, it's just like you declined all 3 tries. You will be put out of the tower, and you will not be Aes Sedai. One more thing she must know before she makes her decision as to whether she's ready to test, and that is, some women go into this test, they enter the arch, and they never come out.
Where did they go?
Nobody really knows. They just, when they stop channeling into it eventually, they're just not there.
That's not good.
Oh, yeah. She says, what you must remember is that to survive, be steadfast. You need to want to be Aes Sedai more than anything. If you hold to that, it will see you through, and you will succeed. But if you falter, we may not see you again. So, are you sure? Are you ready? Do you want to do this? And of course, Egwene's like...
Not really, but yes.
She feels very nervous, but yeah, this is her goal. She's here. She's doing it. So to begin, Egwene is reminded of something that this is where we get this hint that they have been taught some things. This is where she's reminded she must enter unclothed. Because, they're ready for her to start, and she's just standing there. It's like, girl, take your clothes off. And then she's like, oh, yeah, dang it. But, oh, man, I've got all these important papers with me.
It's been a long day.
And I've got this ring terangrial I'm hiding that no one's supposed to know I have.
Yeah.
And now I'm supposed to just take all my clothes off, set all these confidential documents here, and just leave them while I go take a test. Little stressed.
I said I would never snoop.
Yeah.
Never.
So that leaves her a little unsettled. And she hesitates. And that hesitation causes Sheriam to go, are you changing your mind already? She's like, no. And okay, I'll get the clothes off. And she tucks all the stuff hidden under her clothes. So her clothes are on top, and she's hoping no one will mess with it. Makes it kind of obvious that it's just secure. And she's just got to hope that's enough. And then, while she's getting the clothes off and putting her things aside, Alana pops up with a comment. She says, there's something odd here. I don't know what it is, but I sense some sort of resonance from the arches. And Sheriam's like, is that a problem? If there's a problem, I'm not sending someone into the arches. I said, well,
I mean, Sheriam's still doing her duty, mistress of the
That's right.
novices, taking care
Protect
of
the
her
novice.
novices.
She's like, well, no, I don't think it's really a problem. It's just, I mean, the archers are working. They're accepting the channeling like they always do, but I've never experienced this before. Oh, but never mind. It seems to have gone away. I think we're okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. Okay. So there was something, and now there's not. What could go wrong?
That might be important, maybe.
So we begin. There's some ritual words exchanged, and then Egwene, bare naked, enters the first arch, which is, she's told, for what was.
Okay, so what was?
Okay, a lot happens here. We're going to try to get this a little concise. She's suddenly...
There's so much.
she's suddenly in Emmons Field. She's married to Rand. There he is, her husband. And there's their child, Joya. Sweet little girl. Beautiful thing. And there's Tam out in the field working on some crops right now. Life is wonderful. All the time. Nynaeve's going to be coming over in a little while to see how she's doing with her studies because she's still working to prepare to be a wisdom someday. And Rand is just striking some conversation while he's playing with their daughter. Mentions, I heard from one of the guys that there's news of war out in the world. Nothing we have to worry about here in the Two Rivers, but I guess there's some people, some Shawkin or Sanchan or something like that. I don't know.
Gotcha.
And they seem to be doing something weird about people who can channel. They're like this big bounty for any Aes Sedai, and they do something with them. It seems like nonsense. Don't know, but it was interesting.
Shouldn't be a problem. They don't get any of that in the Two Rivers.
Nothing we have to worry about. And then Rand's kind of rubbing his head a little bit. He's having a headache. And this is something that's been a bit troubling. Egwene has noticed Rand gets these headaches, and they're getting more frequent. Nynaeve's been trying to treat his headaches with some herbs and powders, but it doesn't seem to be doing what's needed anymore because the headaches are getting worse. And Egwene has noticed a pattern that's really concerning her because she's becoming suspicious of what these headaches might mean. She's noticed that every time Rand gets a headache, shortly after that, something happens that's inexplicable. Like a lightning bolt comes crashing down out of a clear sky. Or a storm comes up from nowhere. And Nynaeve, with her, sensing, reading the wind and listening to the wind, reading the weather patterns, had no clue it was coming. Some strange things.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing, but Egwene, in any reality, is a pretty sharp cookie. And so she kind of looks at all this, and she's concerned, because she's kind of starting to see and think, can Rand? Is he? No, he wouldn't be a channeler, would he?
Yeah, that's what she's afraid of. He might be touching the power. That would not be good. But then she's like, but so what? Maybe I can fix it. Because this is another thing she's noticed. In working with Nynaeve as her tutor and being an apprentice to the wisdom, she's discovered she has an uncanny, almost miraculous ability to heal. She doesn't quite know how she does it yet, but on 3 separate occasions, she's been left to basically hospice care, to just sit with someone in their final hours after Nynaeve has done all that she can for them, and it's just a matter of time before they pass away. And with Egwene just sitting there holding their hands and trying to ease their passage, they recover. There should be no way they don't die, but they haven't died. And she's, again, putting pieces together, thinking, I think somehow I did something and healed these people
They got better.
who were on the brink of death. I got better. Yeah. So
they weren't dead yet. They were thinking about going for a walk.
Again, putting these connections together and saying, maybe I can channel. Maybe that's what's going on. And I'm actually healing them. So if I have the ability to heal, maybe I can heal what's really going on with Rand. So that's what's in her thoughts. And as his head is really starting to ache right now, she's like, Rand, come here. She's going to try something. She doesn't know what she's going to try yet, but she's going to try something. And yet at that moment, an arch appears. And she hears the words, be steadfast. It's like, what? Where, huh? This arch is calling for her. She knows she's supposed to go through this arch. But she doesn't know why. And she's busy. She's got this healing to do. She wants to help Rand. And at that point, Rand thump falls to his knees, holding his head, saying, "Oh, it's the worst one ever." And then he groans in pain. Yeah. And he starts screaming in pain, and she's like, "Oh, Rand, but no, there, but Rand. I have to go, but Rand, but she's really torn right now.
She's apparently not too torn, because she does turn and walk through the arch.
Yeah, but disturbingly, in the midst of all that, the daughter, Joya, is laughing. I always found that rather incongruous. You got dad screaming in pain and little girl going, ha 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 ha. Like, what is wrong with that child?
Yeah.
But you're right. She does go through the arch.
Yeah, that's sus.
As soon as she comes through, all of her recollections come slamming right back into her. She knows where she is. She knows what she's doing. She's trembling. She's sobbing. This was just a horrible thing to go through. And she asks Sheriam, "Was it real? What I experienced, was that real?" And Sheriam says, and Nynaeve had heard the same thing, everyone asks this. At the same point, they all ask the same question. And the answer is, no one knows. We really don't know. If someone disappears, never comes out, we kind of hope it was real for them. And that's what they lived out. For me, personally, I don't think it's real. But we can't know. Egwene moves to arch number 2.
Let's do it.
This one is for what?
What is? So tell us, what is, Dad?
Well, what is she goes through and finds herself in the ruins of a great palace and recognizes she's in the remains of the royal palace of Andor in Camelin.
Oh, that's not good.
There's clearly been this horrible battle. There's destruction and ruin everywhere she looks.
Which I think is a little crazy to me, that horrible ruin and all that, and recognizes that it's the ruin of the royal palace of Andor. I mean, like, there are bits and pieces and signs for her to figure it out. But it's not as familiar to her as it is to some people. But this version of her, it apparently is.
Well, and that's it. It's not just this version of her recognizes it. She has the memories of being here as this happened. Okay, so she knows this is where she's at. She also looks down at herself. She's wearing a beautiful dress that's all dusty and torn. So whatever has gone on around here, she's been caught up in it. And she looks around and she sees armed groups of men searching the streets, looking for something. She also sees groups of Trollocs doing the same thing. They're clearly searching. And the Trollocs and the men see each other. They don't attack each other. They don't hang out, right? But they clearly are familiar with each other. It says, same team, bad guys.
I mean, they don't like each other.
And to reinforce that more, then she sees a Myrddraal show up. Myrddraal, who says, "Get to work," basically. "Keep searching. Hunt. Yeah. You must find him." Him? Who's him?
Who's him?
Well, Egwene realizes who him is. And she goes searching too and finds him. And who is him, Zach?
Oh, it's him. It's Rand. Of course it's Rand.
Yeah. She finds Rand in a room in this destroyed castle, half buried from the waist down under the debris and rubble. He's trapped. He can't get out. She's like, you're injured. I could help with that. I could maybe get all this stuff off of you, but I'm afraid the rest of the building may fall down around us. What do I do, Rand? And he's like, well, I could get the stuff off of me, but what I really need at this point is your help with that thing over there. And he points to a dagger that's just out of reach. As he says, Egwene, I'm doing all I can to hold off the madness. If I let go of this self-control to channel myself free, I'll lose it. I'll turn mad. And then I won't be able to stop the Myrddraal, the Dreadlords, from taking me. And if they take me, they'll turn me. What? What's this about? This is something we'd not heard anything about. She's never heard anything about. What does he mean, they'll turn him, Zach?
Well, what can I say without... Okay,
Yeah, just the basic, because it doesn't give us any details yet. Just the basic. What does he mean?
There is a way for people to be forcefully... In D&D terms, they can forcefully have their alignment changed from something good aligned to evil aligned.
Yes, I like that.
Through some ritualistic formal means.
Mm-hmm. And he's saying that can't be allowed to happen. I can't be turned to work for the Shadow. So the only real option here is, you need to kill me. I can't reach the dagger. I can't do it myself. I need you to take that dagger and stick it right in the heart here. So I'm gone. and they can't do a thing to me then. She's like, I can't kill you. Are you crazy? Well, that's kind of the point. He's about to be crazy, but
Yeah.
no, I can't do this. And as she's struggling with him pushing, you have to help. And she's like, no,
Kill
I
me.
won't. Yes, you must. No,
Do it,
yes,
do it,
no,
do
yes. A silver arch
Do it.
shows up. Here comes the silver arch again, and be steadfast. And I've got to go. He's like, no, don't go. Kill me. No, I've got to go. Kill me. No, I've got to. And she steps through the arch.
Let me go to the light. Oh, you went to the light.
The last
Darn.
thing she hears is, Egwene, help me. And she turns her back on that.
So that's twice now that she's turned her back on Rand to go through the arch.
Yep. And she's regained her senses again. This time, she questions Sheriam specifically about something she learned in there. She wants to know if this is true. Can someone be turned to the shadow by Myrdral and dark friends? And Sheriam's like, very unsettled to hear this. We don't talk about the things that happen in your visions.
No, we don't talk about it. We definitely don't talk about that.
But Egwene, she presses. She pushes. I need to know. And, well, Sheriam does quietly say, well, yes, there is a way. It's nothing you have to worry about. But, thousands of years ago, back during the Trolloc Wars, 13 Myrdral could work together with 13 Dreadlords. So, dark friends who can channel. And together, they could turn someone from the good side to the dark side. But there aren't any Dreadlords anymore. There's nothing you need to worry about. And we just keep this a secret. This is a tower secret because people would stress enough. It's best they don't know about something that they don't even have to worry about.
Yeah, about that.
That's what Sheriam's saying.
Sheriam, you do realize that, Forsaken are getting loose, and apparently the Black Aja is a thing. I don't think it's something that you maybe don't have to worry about.
And consider what the name of that arch was?
It's for what is.
So,
yes. At the very least, the fact that Egwene is hunting Black Aja, this possibility of channelers who are dark working with Myrdral to turn people, that's terrifying.
And of course, that is exactly where Egwene's thoughts go. She's like, you said 13. 13 dark friends, Dreadlords, and 13 Black Aja sisters just fled the tower. Coinkydink? I'm not sure.
Why nobody thought to mention that that's a thing that's possible when there's 13 specifically that left? I'm like, did you not stop to think about it for 2 seconds?
I think this is an example, though, that the Aes Sedai are very talented about specifically not thinking about things they don't want to think about.
It's just like, I don't want to believe that exists, so I'm going to pretend it doesn't, and it will be fine until it bites me in the ass.
Pretty much. Now for the final arch, for what will be. Egwene steps through and discovers, ta-da, I'm the Amerlin seat. She's wearing the stole. She is the Amerlin seat. But something's wrong. And she's got the number 13 floating in her head. She feels disoriented, and she doesn't know why. She sees next to her Beldine, her keeper of the chronicles, wearing a little green stole, which indicates that she was raised in the Green Aja, just like Egwene had been. Egwene knows this, but then Egwene's like, but wait a second, I still feel like I'm actually a novice, not raised from the Green Aja. What is going on? Her mind is totally disoriented and messed up.
So she's simultaneously feeling like the top and bottom of the tower.
Yeah.
And is very confused. Can't make heads or tails of it.
And she doesn't know why. Something's wrong. She pushes past the confusion, though, because we need to get to business. The hall is waiting for us. Okay, buckle down, do the job. She and Beldine go and join the 21 sitters, 3 from each Aja, who are waiting in the hall of the tower, because they have serious business to address. Once there, Elida, one of the red sitters, stands up and orders, bring him in, and a man in chains is dragged in by some burly guards. It's Rand.
Hi, Rand. Good to see ya.
Being drugged before the hall and the Amerlin. Maybe not so good to see him. He looks pretty roughed up.
I mean, you're right.
Elida announces, this man has named himself the Dragon Reborn. and he channeled the one power. And she calls on the Merlin to do her duty. And says...
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
I'm trying so hard. Says, pronounce the sentence of gentling. This is what is done in cases like this. And Egwene is sitting there shocked. This is Rand. But also, she's still struggling with this feeling that something's not right. This disorientation, even a bit of dizziness. Aleda's like, why do you hesitate? Are you showing your weakness? There's an implication that Alida is not exactly on Team Egwene as Amyrlin.
You mean Alida not being a team player? No. Spare the thought.
One of the other sitters is like, Alida, you go beyond what is proper here. Show some respect. And Alida's kind of like, I will respect when she acts in a manner that's worthy of respect. Egwene struggles to her feet. She's dizzy. But she speaks out about this. No, I cannot. And Alida shouts out, Egwene betrays herself. As Egwene goes to respond, whack! She gets her clock cleaned by her keeper with that keeper rod. Whack! And night-night, she blacks out.
Thanks for your support.
Yeah, she's been taken out. Next thing you know, Egwene is waking up. She's laid out on a table, naked, in some room. It's cold. She hears voices around talking about her, and she realizes she's surrounded by Myrddraal and some sisters.
That's problematic.
And she figures very quickly what's about to happen here. If there's Myrddraal with sisters, she doesn't need to count. She's sure there's 13 Myrddraal and 13 sisters, and they're about to turn her to the shadow. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Of course, she's not going to just let that happen. But they realize, wait a second, she's awake. They thought she was still out cold. They notice she's awake. Before they can shield her or anything, she has grabbed the one power. She's turning Myrddraal to ash. She's blowing sisters away.
Pew. Show off that battle aja.
She gets up off this table. One of the sisters, who she recognizes as one of the Alida cronies, comes at her to stop her.
One of the mean girls. Got it.
Yeah. And she just takes the power and basically with the power gives her a virtual punch in the gut and knocks her out of the way. She's making a break for it. Naked and all.
Naked and definitely afraid.
She runs to her study because she's got to get some clothes on. Job one. If she's going to do anything, fix anything, be taken seriously, she probably needs to not be naked. She goes to get clothes. When she gets to her study, she finds Beldine, the keeper, crying there all by herself. And Beldine apologizes. I'm so sorry. I didn't have any choice.
They made me do it.
They did.
You always have a choice.
She says, they took me a few nights earlier. I was forced to do it. And in fact, I've been stilled. So she was stilled a few days earlier.
Why do it if they were gonna still you and they did anyway, or if they already stilled you back then? Like, they already played all their cards. Why are you doing what they wanted anymore?
I sensed there was a way they were holding something over her head. She had no choice. Perhaps it was, we're going to execute you otherwise. I don't know.
It's one of these moments that it doesn't really matter that much because whether it's real or not, it's more important that it kind of was railroaded in this direction for Egwene.
Egwene's feeling about Beldine, though, is a little bit more in line with you. It's like, why'd you play along? You could have told me. She doesn't have a lot of patience for her. She does ask, where have they taken Rand? And learns they've taken him to the Traitor's Court. That's bad news. The Traitor's Court is only used for 3 things. Stilling an Aes Sedai, gentling a man who can channel, and executions. Those are done in the Traitor's Court. So Egwene rushes, she gets some clothes.
Priorities.
But then she rushes to the Traitor's Court. But she doesn't actually go to the Traitor's Court because she wouldn't be able to get there. She's sure someone would stop her. So she's going to just try to go up in the tower to a place where she'll have line of sight, a vantage point view of what's happening there.
Okay.
Now, Beldine is like, but why? Why are you going? You can't do anything to stop it. And Egwene pulls out her surprise card, her special power. What does she tell her? She says...
She never held the oath rod.
Now, what does that mean for her as an Aes Sedai if she never held the oath rod?
Technically speaking, she's not bound to the three oaths. Most specifically here, the one where you can't use the power as a weapon, except in defense of your own life or against dark friends. And because she technically wouldn't be defending her own life, and she also wouldn't know for sure that everyone there were dark friends, she would be held back. But she never held it, so she can just blow that whole place up if she wants, so...
Yep. So she's gonna go do what she's gotta do. So she gets there. She gets up to this vantage point. She can see the Trader's Court. And what does she see? She sees Rand right there in the center of everything. She sees 13 sisters gathered around him. She sees Elida talking, too far to hear what they're saying, but she can tell. She's basically pronouncing judgment, and they are about to gentle him. And she goes, okay, what can I do? I believe I can use my power. I'm strong enough with air that I can lift him right out of there. Before they can stop me, I can pull him away, and we can try to escape together. And as she's about to do that, she sees off to the side a silver arch, and she's supposed to go in it. But this is different this time. And again, she feels something's wrong here, because this arch is flickering, it's waving, there's like, I don't know, flickering lines of other colors going through it, and she hears some energetic and like panicked voices. Things like, can't hold it much longer. If she doesn't come out now, and you better hold it or I'm gonna, people are yelling at each other. There's a panic. And she's like, I just need a few more minutes. I can do this. I can save him. But this thing is almost like it's gonna go away.
It's an unstable Wi-Fi connection. We all know.
Right? And finally, she's like, and just fine. And she jumps through the arch.
She made it.
And as she does, it's extremely painful.
That's not good.
That's where the chapter ends.
Woo.
We move to chapter 23, which is called Sealed.
Can I take a moment before we go too deep into this last chapter we'll do today?
Yes.
Just to reiterate something. This is the second accepted test that we really get to see.
Yes.
And it's also the second one that apparently didn't go how it's supposed to go. Even without this last bit.
You start to wonder.
We've been told they're not supposed to be able to remember they can channel within this or any of all that. Both Nynaeve and Egwene, we see their accepted tests and it breaks most of the rules that we learn. Makes me question either are the rules faulty or are we really just seeing crazy exceptions?
Or it brings back that theory. Ta'Veren. A lot of people like to think the girls may be Ta'Veren because things seem to twist around them as well. That hasn't been said in the books, but...
I want to believe it, but, we have characters that actually can see Ta'Veren and they never say it, so...
That's true. Maybe they can only see male Ta'Veren.
I don't think that's accurate either.
Jordo makes a point, pokes a hole in your theory. As far as we know, Elaine's test went fine.
As far as we know, Elaine's was unremarkable, and we may or may not at other times know or hear other tests that are fine, but it's just crazy that up to this point, the only tests we've seen are weird and wrong.
All right. The chapter 23 called Sealed, it starts with just a little bit of basically saying the agony she's feeling as she went through this arch stretches out forever and ever, and it's an endless torment, and then it's over. But this isn't what was described with the previous times she went through the arch, so it's implying something's wrong. And the whole time she was in that third arch, that disorientation, the memories that shouldn't be there, the confusion, something was going on that wasn't right. Now, Egwene doesn't really understand that as she steps out of the arch. All she knows is what just happened inside that thing she experienced, and she is ticked. She's angry.
Yeah, she's hurt and she's pissed.
Yeah, for everything she just saw, and then the fact that she had to leave Rand
3 times.
Basically to be gentled and probably executed. And the fact that every one of her things was about her with Rand having to abandon him, fail him.
I'll say it. Egwene's accepted test does not pass the Bechdel test.
Well, that is true. There's very little in this book that does, even though there's so many great female characters. they're still often connected to talking about the men and doing things related to the men.
It's a great series. It's not perfect.
Well, she's here now, just ready to vent her rage. And then she looks around and realizes, this isn't, something's not right here. They're not just ready to receive me like they were the other 2 times. And in fact, the Amerlin's here now. And that's okay. Egwene was taught that at the end of her test, that would happen. And there's a shawled sister from each of the Ajas here now, but everybody looks worried. And there's 2 Aes Sedai now sitting at each of those spots where the arch meets, instead of just the one sister who had been there originally. And the ter'angreal, the arches, they're actually humming, almost vibrating. And there's these violent streaks going through the gaps between them. Something doesn't look right.
So you could say they're resonating? Almost like someone thought that might have happened before we even started the test.
Perhaps. Sheriam steps right up to Egwene, clearly relieved that she's there, and she delves her. It doesn't use that word, but you can know. She puts a hand on her. She uses the power to check her. She said she's unharmed. Whew. The tension seems to go out of all the other Aes Sedai. Even Elaida lets out a long breath.
Good, we didn't kill her. Thank goodness.
That's right. They finish the final ritual, and then Egwene's like, "What? What happened?" And Sheriam, shh. Let's just finish this. Okay. And with it finished, the Amerlin does her part, and Egwene is now officially an accepted of the White Tower. Yay! You passed. You are sealed to us now. There, the name of the chapter. Sealed. And with that done, okay, get dressed. You've made it all. It's all fine. But the Amerlin wants some answers. She's like, okay, now I want to know what happened here tonight. Because this is not cool. And what we're going to come to learn is something went wrong with the ter'angreal. They don't understand, but they think they almost just lost Egwene. Like, it practically, it started to malfunction. They were losing control of it. And had they completely lost it, she probably would have just, poof, disappeared. Never been seen again.
It tried to magically eat her, and we're just glad that it didn't.
Yeah, we are definitely glad it didn't eat her. It would have changed the story a bit.
So a couple of fun little tidbits. Egwene officially has her ring now.
Yay!
Great Serpent ring put on the third finger of her left hand. Fun little bit there. There's also the nice moment where there's a transition from being called child to daughter.
Yes. The Amerlin is the first one to use that phrase officially. It's a clear shift.
And after that's done, then Egwene can put clothes on again.
And she does. She puts her own clothes back on. She's relieved that, as far as she can tell, everything is just the way she left it. So she doesn't think anybody messed with her stuff. Nobody looked at through the papers. Nobody found the ring that, technically she's not supposed to have. She seems to be all right there. Elaida, being Elaida, has some snarky words here at the end where she says, fine, you're accepted now, basically. But I still don't think you should have been given this chance. Because, you're a wilder. You don't do things right. You're very powerful, but that means you're just dangerous. And this was all a bad idea.
Elaida is horribly elitist and classist, and it's ridiculously apparent. I think it's a really good lesson that RJ shows us, that being an Aes Sedai doesn't change who you are. Being an Aes Sedai just gives you more status within who and what you already were. Elaida was already a jerk. She just gets to stay a jerk.
Yeah, if you're already a stinging insect that causes people to scratch, you're still going to be that once you're an Aes Sedai.
Way to bring back the bee itch.
I gotta try. As Elaida marches off, Egwene's thought is classic. She's like, if she isn't Black Aja, she's the next thing to it. She doesn't have any proof. And while we didn't specify it, in that third arch experience, she didn't have any proof that Elaida was Black Aja there either. She had proof that there were Black Aja around.
No, she had proof that, her best friend was Black Aja or something. But even then, it's like, is it actual proof, or is it proof within this weird scenario that isn't necessarily real?
And Elaida also she saw was the one in the scenario that was in charge of what was happening to Rand, it would appear Elida was working with Black Aja. But it's possible she didn't know she's working with Black Aja. We don't know. We can't know. So,
such things might happen.
yes. Maybe her vision means Elida will become Black Aja, because it was what will be.
And maybe it means absolutely nothing.
Now, Egwene doesn't appreciate the harsh words, the unkind treatment from Elida there, as Elida then leaves in a huff. And she turns to Sheriam then and says, you could have stepped in here. You just let me take all that from her? It's not real cool. And Sheriam's calm reply is, well, if you were a novice, I would have helped you. You are not a novice anymore. You can take care of yourself. So things are going to shift, that means. There's, like you said, no longer child. Now it's daughter. There's a difference, and you're going to be expected to stand on your own 2 feet. That could be helpful.
But listen, you still don't have a sister's respect, but you're allowed to talk back to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm. You don't have to wait until you're commanded to speak. You can advocate for yourself.
And then finally we get to the point that I kind of mentioned right at the start of this chapter. Alana is there and mentions, I knew something was wrong. I knew something like this was going to happen. I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. It's very self-pitying, but it kind of ends with like, it's okay. I'll make up for it. I'll atone for my mistakes and all that jazz. And yeah, Sheriam's not having that either.
I will do a penance. I will something. And Sheriam's like, the mother is not going to allow you to, what? You think you're going to work in the kitchens doing chores right next to Egwene? No. Stop it.
And Aes Sedai would never get sent by the Amerlin seat to go get punishments by the Mistress of Novices or work in the kitchens. That would never happen.
Now, Egwene's mind, with all these things that are happening, is constantly bouncing around to Black Aja. As she's realizing she was almost just perhaps lost, she has to be thinking, okay, what's really going on here? So Elida,
do it on purpose.
Maybe she's Black Aja. She's being awful mean. Sheriam, not stepping in to help. Maybe she's not stepping in because she's Black Aja and she's not on my side. Alana, offering to be with me in the kitchens. Nobody does that. Maybe she's Black Aja. She's got this paranoid perspective now, and she realizes, I gotta stop this. They can't all be Black Aja. But it's gotta be hard, because she doesn't know who might be Black Aja. Literally, any one of these sisters we've encountered tonight could be Black Aja. Perhaps, maybe not Swan Sanche, since she's the one who's tasked them to look out for Black Aja.
But even then, maybe it's just a clever double agency. Who knows?
And then let's throw into this that tonight, Egwene has heard confirmation that anyone could be turned to the dark. That would even go as far as to be the Amerlin seat. In her vision, she was the Amerlin and was going to be turned. Swan Sanche could be turned into a dark friend. It could happen. Wow, it sucks to be her right now.
Yeah. Now, Alana does follow up in the middle of all these thoughts by mentioning this whole situation. She's only ever seen something like it once before, when there were 2 ter'angreal in the same room that had like the same kind of purpose, and one of them tried to get used, and they just kind of like reverberated off each other and caused a whole mess. At which point, Egwene's internal monologue turns to, oh shit.
I did this myself. Not that she had any control over it.
No, she didn't choose to still have a ter'angreal that did something with different worlds.
Now, here's a new theory you could jump to then. And Egwene doesn't actually have this one come into her head, but she could have. It probably ought to be on the page. Maybe Varen was Black Aja.
Maybe Varen tried to kill her
because she knew I was going to be tested and gave me this to take down here and knew this would happen. It could go on and on and on. It's just crazy. We move past all this. Egwene is assuring Alana, it's not your fault. And especially now that she knows it's not her fault. She's saying, it's not your fault. Don't feel bad. And instead shifts this to, tell me about Green Sisters. Now she wants to figure out, I need to start learning a little bit more about the different Ajas because I'm going to have the chance eventually to pick one now. So I'm going to divert it. Let's talk about these different ones. And we get to see, okay, Green Green is the battle Aja. They love men.
Literally.
That doesn't mean to be in love with them. They love men. They think men are wonderful. Men are awesome.
That being said, they also do the being in love with them thing. They do sometimes marry their warders. It's a thing.
Blue is different. Blue are the ones that have a passion for causes. They like men, but not in the I love men thing, but more they like men who share their causes. And there we could easily jump to, okay, Moraine and Lan. That's the Blue we know and has a warder with her, and they clearly are on, one team working together. They're passionate for a cause.
Jumping to the other side of the spectrum, what we already know but kind of gets reiterated, Red, they despise men in their entirety. Specifically those who can channel, as they are seen as responsible for the breaking of the world 3,000 years ago. Way to hold a grudge, Red Aja.
Then we think about the White. We've got Alviarin in this room, the White sister. She has a different perspective. They don't really care so much for men because they're all about logic. They have no room in their life for men. And passion, it's not logical.
Quite literally, Alana's quote here. Yeah, there's no room in her life for any passions at all.
Right.
It makes me think of, not every stereotypical nerd in high school, but the stereotypical nerd in high school who doesn't date, not because they couldn't date, but because they were too worried about getting the right grades or doing the most activities to have time for any dating. That's what I think of the Whites.
We get one more piece of information about the various different Ajas, and that's about the Brown. It doesn't tell us anything we didn't already know. Browns seek knowledge. That's what they pursue above all. But in all of this conversation about the various different Ajas, I have to note that the poor Grey don't even get mentioned.
Yeah, Gandalf doesn't get a lot of love.
Grey? What Grey? We don't care about Grey. So we will talk about Grey at some point.
Just apparently not now, because it doesn't tell us now.
Right. This conversation does finally wrap around back to the Green, that they're the battle Aja, they're the ones ready to fight, they're the ones who countered the Dreadlords in the time of the Trolloc War, they're the ones who will be ready to come against the Trollocs at Tarmageddon, the last battle. They will be ready. And Egwene's like, yeah, I think Green doesn't sound so bad.
Now, we know the real reason that she was really fishing for what does the green mean.
Oh yes? Tell us.
It's quite literally, she just walked out of that archway where she was told,
I was green.
I was green, yeah. Now I'm Amerlin. She wants to know, is that something I actually would do? How close does this fit with truth? It's kind of like checking in with what she saw to see, is what will be what actually will be.
So I want to add into the recording here from the Discord the postulation of the Grey as the Gandalf Aja. I just thought that was pretty good.
I do think we have to make a minor concession. There we go. A minor concession.
Yeah, what's a concession?
Here.
I don't even know what a concession would be.
I don't know. It's something to do with consent, and I'm here for it, but I don't know what it means yet. And that's that the Grey can only be one half, maybe even 1/3 the Gandalf Aja. Truthfully, the other half or 2/3 would have to be the White. Sorry for that spoiler.
That's right, we're spoiling Lord of the Rings. I think it would be really hard for us to spoil Lord of the Rings for anybody who would actually be interested in listening to this podcast.
And if you're watching live, I'm already spoiling it a little bit because it's behind me.
The map on the wall. All right, at this point then, the Amerlin comes back up to Egwene and says, just checking on her again. And, oh yes, I'm fine, Mother. And I have never heard of this chaos like this. I will see to it that we'll get to the root of this again. And Alana now follows through on what she said she was going to do. And she's like, Mother, I own this. This is horrible. This never should have been allowed to happen. I want to accept punishment. Let me visit Sheriam. Let me do penance. And she's like, don't be ridiculous. And they had warned her. Yeah, you don't do this sort of thing. And here, the Amerlin slaps her down. It's like, get over yourself. We're moving on.
She does finally allow, fine, Alana, if it'll make you feel better, you can secretly go see Sheriam and, she can beat you or something. But,
yeah,
it has to be something you're willingly doing. I'm not making you do it. This is for yourself. This is to make you feel better.
Yeah, just a little later, though, Sheriam rounds on Alana again, though. Once the Amerlins moved on. She's like, you are mad. You really? You're going to come to my office? I'm going to not be easy on you. I can guarantee that. If you come to my office, I'm going to make you remember it because you're being a fool and I don't want to see a lot of you. It's like, okay. We're seeing something here that is interesting. It's an insight that Egwene's getting. That these Aes Sedai are still just sometimes a bunch of foolish women. The same insecurities, the same mistakes, the same awkwardness that everybody else has.
And yet, Egwene still looks at them and goes, but is there more? Is there some paranoia that I'm having that sees a deeper meaning or plan? As she looks at this and sees just like this brief flash of disappointment in Alana when she finally finds out, yeah, you're not going to be in the kitchens with Egwene scrubbing pots. You're not going to be spending more time with her. No, you're a full sister. You're not doing that. And Egwene has this thought of, was that really the whole plan all along? Was she just trying to get more time alone with me? Was she going to corner me and do something? Oh, no. And you start to see all these things that you think might be foolish throwaway things. Are they actually, or are they clever schemes?
Now let me bring this down to the last encounter that she has with these women, which touches on something I'd highlighted earlier. As the Amerlin leaves, Egwene thinks, maybe I need to be suspicious of the Amerlin after all. She sent Nynaeve and I on a Black Aja hunt to chase 13 Dark Sisters, Dark Friends, Black Aja, and didn't bother to tell us that 13 is the number that would be able to work with Myrddraal to turn us to the shadow.
This is what I was saying. And like theoretically or something, say if Varen had shared the knowledge that was what it was, I'd be like, okay, maybe it's some old forgotten brown Aja only knows thing. And so maybe Swan just didn't think of it. But Sheriam said it. She's not brown.
Egwene, finally, she's done. She heads to the accepted quarters. It's been a long day. It's been a miserable experience, and she needs company. She does not want to be alone. She goes straight to Nynaeve's room. And what does she find? She finds Nynaeve and Elaine. And Elaine...
Apparently, Nynaeve's room is just like the hip hopping in place where they
I guess. And what does she find? Elaine is weeping, and Nynaeve is comforting her. So apparently Elaine, of course, having gone through her own experience, she's got a great serpent ring on her hand now. But Nynaeve is trying to comfort her. That's all right. It'll be fine. It'll be better. And Elaine is just sobbing and looks up and says to Egwene, I could not be that awful. I just couldn't. Now, we don't know what she's referencing.
I have thoughts, and I want to hear what your thoughts are.
You want to hear what my thoughts would be about what that means?
I want to hear what you think she's thinking. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. It could be anything. There's so many things there.
I have a very easy thought.
All right. To me, I don't have a thought because there's too many things that could mean. But I'd love to hear your thought.
I think this is low shelf. I think this is what will be kind of thing, or even what is kind of thing. Either one of those. And it's Elaine being in some way, shape, or form very horrible and wicked in her ways as queen and Aes Sedai. I think it's a very low ball kind of thing of we've seen what all of this means and all the various things that would tempt for Egwene, and one of the biggest points here for Elaine is her royal background. So I think that makes sense that she saw herself be the evil queen.
Or at least turn her back on people who had been her friends, her companions, because she's got to do the queen thing, and she's above everybody else now for the good of the people, or something. Possibly. Well, anyway. Regardless, as Egwene is seeing Elaine's feelings and reaction to all of this, everything that she's been through just all comes crashing back to her as well. And next thing she knows, she's right there next to Elaine. She's sobbing as well, and Nynaeve is just now comforting both of them. Hush, hush. It gets better with time. And a great line. This is a great Nynaeve line. One day we will make them pay our price. Awesome. Because that's what it's all about after all for Nynaeve. I'm doing this so I can get my own back eventually.
The end of the chapter and the end of our content for today.
Absolutely. Except, of course, in a little bit, we'll go jump into the spoiler room for just a brief moment. Before we do that, though, again, thank you, everyone, for listening. If you're a first-time reader, You're going to want to jump out before we start the spoiler room. The rest of you, stick around to see what we decide to full spoil. We want to thank everybody for being a part of these episodes and joining us for our content. And if you're liking it, as always, share it. Tell people. And one of the ways you can do that is on Apple Podcast, where you can drop a star rating and even write a review if you like. If you do write a review and we see it, we'll share it out here. And you get to be famous for a moment. And whatever name you put in there is what we'll call you.
Reviews can only last so long, especially because you want it to be able to be a snippet that can be read or whatever, and maybe you've got something more detailed about a specific episode. So maybe you want to reach out directly to us. You can find us at fantasyfortheages@gmail.com. Send us a lengthy email, or be in this generation and reach out to us on social medias, including Twitter, where we're most active, Facebook, where we exist sometimes, Instagram, where we post drink recipes, and our Discord, where the conversation is always going, sometimes a little bit slower for us depending on how our lives are going at the moment, but we will be there, we will see, and we will interact and talk.
And there's enough people with us on Discord that even when we don't show up, they still got their own conversations going on, which is fantastic. I love when I jump in after I've been gone for a little while, and I see all the other conversations I now have to catch up with, which is great. Speaking to those conversations, one of the newest ones we put in there, we've got a channel now for Asimov, because the new Foundation series is out there on Apple TV+. And, of course, there's great books by Isaac Asimov, but they're now adapting it to a brand new show. I watched the first episode. Fantastic. Brilliant. There's a couple more waiting that I'm going to watch tonight. So you should check that out, and then come talk to us in Discord about it. And you mentioned Twitter. That is the most engaging of our social medias. So that's another way definitely that you can chit-chat with us. One of the ways that we are active there is those monthly polls. And we did recently finally just win one. The Fantology poll on the funniest science fiction and fantasy characters. Thanks for all the votes, everybody, because that was a blast. And our guys won. Woohoo! And we celebrate on Discord. So all these ways you can connect with us. Two last things you can do to be a part of Fantasy for the Ages. You can buy some merch. I've got a link for our merch shop where you can get your own Fantasy for the Ages coffee mug or frosty mug for your lovely hot or cold beverages. And you become a patron of our show. We have a Patreon site. I've got a link on the show notes. You can choose to support us as little as $1 a month, and it gives you extra benefits, like jumping in with Emmeline and Jordo here and others who are sometimes with us in the Discord during our live recordings. We'd love to see you here. Anything else we should cover before we do the spoiler room, Zach?
Not that comes to mind.
Fantastic. So for those of you who are heading out now, we'll talk to you next time.
The spoiler room.
And Emmeline's gone, so we can now do some spoilage. I'm getting my die out.
I recently got my first paycheck for my first couple weeks of work. And as part of that, I got a new dice bag.
Nice.
It's big.
It is.
It's holding currently all of my dice. Nope, that's not true. It's holding all except my gemstone dice. It's got my metal and then separated each section. Because on the inside, got handy dandy sections.
A lot of dice. All right, we'll get one of those out. Let's roll our D20s. And here goes mine. Oh, you in trouble.
You get a nat 20?
Nat 18.
Yeah, I got that minus the first digit.
All right, so I get to spoil first. And great, because there's one really... there's a number of things that are spoil-worthy here. But I want to go right to... the one of Varen, and she gives the ring. She doesn't give the papers. And what's really going on there, we've already full spoil before, that Varen is Black Aja. Which, knowing that, made this episode a lot of fun. To talk about what's Varen doing, and even her own POV, and yet we're spoiler lighting it, so we're not letting on that she's a Black Aja sister here. But what she does with those papers, I believe, is the perfect proof of how she's a double agent Black Aja. Because she is helping the good side while helping the bad side. And I believe that's why she doesn't give the papers. Okay, she doesn't burn them because that's just her being brown. Forget about black for a moment. She's a brown, she can't destroy knowledge. I'm all good with that. But she totally should have given Egwene all the information she had. By giving her the ring without the information, it's like giving her a knife and not telling her these are sharp and could stick you. Or giving her a gun and not giving her any training and, some idea that this shoots things. And just letting her use this extremely powerful and dangerous object and just saying, be careful, it might be dangerous. She had all this great information. She kept it out of Egwene's hand because in that way, she's doing the evil stuff. That's what I'm saying. That's the spoil here. That's her intentional decision so she can both help Egwene and hurt Egwene and be true to her evil oaths. What do you think of that?
I like it. I feel like it does fit into our category of definite, full spoil. I also think it does fit into our category of having some theoriness here, though, because it's not a definitive proof of that's what's happening, but rather that's an explanation. And I personally err more on the side of it's a factor within it.
Okay.
But it's a little bit of a complex oversimplification of what's happening, because really it's a lot of the things we've talked about, in my opinion, not just one of them.
Now, Jordo drops here in the Discord the comment that the theory is, so he's heard this somewhere, that the Black Aja told her not to give her the instructions. But I'm not sure that the Black Aja told her to give her the ring in the first place.
They're not really connected enough to do stuff.
I'm thinking that's just Varen's idea, because no one knows. She even says it. She's pretty sure no one else knows the ring even exists. So the Black Aja wouldn't have told her to give the ring. They don't know it's there either. And she's not going to reveal information unless she's point blank asked. So I think she's giving her the ring because, Egwene's a dreamer. This will be helpful to her. But she's working as black, so she has to balance this out. Now she, in good conscience, can say, I gave her this dangerous Terangrial because it gives opportunity for her to destroy herself.
I would say also, that makes an assumption that, her every action has to in some way be working for the good and the bad. I think we, through the series, see a number of times where Black Aja people do things that are legitimately just good, and they're good things, and maybe it's good and the only ill intent is to further their cover. So it doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It just may also have bad undertones.
Okay.
My turn?
Your turn, son.
Okay. I think what I'm going to go with is still going to be a similar Black Aja related thing, but not actually. And that's that as we go through this, we see this vision, all of this. We kind of pointed out, Elaida in the vision was not confirmed to be Black Aja. Maybe around her. Yeah, Elaida is never Black Aja. Never.
Right.
Terrible person. Horrible things that they do. And it's often horrible in the sense of petty political movements.
Yes.
Breaks a lot of the sort of rules that we see here. Even so far as sending Aes Sedai to get punishments and to work in the kitchens and all these things. Stripping someone of their Aes Sedai title. But all of that is done without being Black Aja. And just being kind of manipulated by and then eventually blackmailed by Black Aja. She's not bad. Mm-hmm. She's just bad.
Yep, that's perfect. Exactly. I think later in the series, we really want Elaida to be Black Aja, because it would make so much sense. But no, she's not evil. She's just so bad. And that's all it ever really is.
Robert Jordan does a great job of giving us some lovable bad guys and some really despicable good guys.
Yes. I like how Jordo put it here. Light side people can be jerks. Mm-hmm. Elaida is always, in her heart, working for the good. She's just really misguided in thinking how to do that right.
Yeah.
All right, well, what you decided to spoil is exactly what I was going to spoil if you had gone first and taken the one I was going to do. So we hit the exact two things.
Well, I'm glad it worked out so that you got what you wanted.
Yay, absolutely. All right, this has been one of our...
I live to make my dad happy.
This has been one of our longer episodes, so I think it's time to wrap it up. It's been fun. Thanks, Zach. Always enjoy these conversations. Jordo, thanks for being with us here, too.
Definitely. With that,
We'll talk to you next time.